The call came at 3:02 a.m., a time when the world should have been quiet, but for Nikolai Zuravlev, silence was never safe. Mr. Zuravlev, there's been a malfunction at the plant. We need you. In that instant, his heart raced. Nikolai was an ordinary engineer at a local factory, known for his meticulous work and quiet diligence. But above all, he was a father. His 9-year-old daughter, Anya, was the center of his world, her laughter, her questions, her tiny hand gripping his when they walked to the bus stop. Everything he did for her. Pulling on his worn jacket, he drove through the sleeping streets, headlights cutting through the mist. The factory loomed ahead, ominous and humming with emergency lights. A boiler had exploded, leaving several workers injured, but thankfully, no lives were lost. Still, Nikolai's department was under scrutiny, and whispers of blame already circled the plant. Inside the plant office, the director's words were curt. You signed off on the last inspection. Something failed. Nikolai nodded quietly. I double-checked everything. All parameters were normal. You're suspended until the investigation concludes, the director said. Suspended. Without pay. Driving home that night, the weight of the words pressed on him more than any machine he had ever lifted. He entered their small apartment to find Anya waiting by the window, her braids slightly askew, eyes wide. Papa, she asked softly. I'm home, he replied, forcing a smile. But inside, despair gnawed at him. The bills on the table were stacked neatly, rent, utilities, groceries, but he had no income to pay them. He was staring down a future of uncertainty. In the following days, Nikolai dove into his work in a different way. He spent late nights poring over system logs he had personally archived, copies he kept out of habit. And then he noticed a subtle fluctuation in the pressure readings weeks before the accident. It was small, easily overlooked, but something about it was off. Nikolai ran simulations. His heart sank. The factory's recent software update, meant to optimize performance, had masked critical warning signals. The system had hidden the signs. The accident wasn't caused by negligence, it was a digital fault. Armed with data, he requested a meeting with the director. Denied. He emailed the findings to the regional office. Days later, he was called in for a formal review. At the conference table, executives in sharp suits watched him. He explained the software flaw, showing detailed logs, graphs, and simulations. His voice shook at first but gained strength as he spoke. This was his truth, his expertise. And finally, someone listened. Weeks passed. Nikolai took odd repair jobs, tutored students, skipped meals, all to stretch the dwindling savings. Anya noticed, and one evening she placed half of her sandwich on his plate. We're a team, Papa, she said, and his heart swelled. Resilience was not taught, it was shared. Eventually, the independent investigation confirmed his findings. The software had indeed masked critical alerts, and the company revised its safety protocols. Nikolai was reinstated with back pay. The injured workers recovered, colleagues respected his courage, and the factory finally implemented proper safety checks. But the true victory was at home. Sitting with Anya in the small apartment, watching her color at the table, Nikolai realized that his fight wasn't about recognition, salary, or prestige. It was about presence, consistency, and courage, the little things that built trust, love, and safety. He had faced the fear of being powerless, the humiliation of false blame, and the pressure of financial strain. He had stayed up nights, questioned himself, and risked everything. And in doing so, he became more than an ordinary engineer. He was a father who refused to surrender. Years later, when Anya graduated at the top of her class, Nikolai watched from the audience, hair streaked with gray, eyes tired but proud. She spotted him and smiled, a knowing smile. The man who had once stayed awake all night to uncover a hidden fault had built a foundation stronger than any machine, stronger than any system. Because love, courage, and perseverance, those were forces no software bug, no bureaucratic oversight, and no hardship could ever break. Nikolai had learned that the ordinary could become extraordinary, one steadfast choice at a time. And in the quiet strength of a father who never gave up, Anya had grown knowing that the world could always be faced, fear, failure, and all. If you want, I can also generate 10 suspense-filled hyper-realistic image prompts from this story ready for AI rendering, keeping age and appearance consistent for YouTube visuals. It would visually capture the story's most emotional moments. Do you want me to do that next?